Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. Thank you to all people for subscribed and supporting. I greatly appreciate it. Today we have 3 good stories. And the first story is, I don't work here anymore, Sergeant Major. After my last post got so much attention here, I thought I'd share my favorite I don't work here story from the day I got out of the military. Backstory time. So, as a few may remember from my last night post, I have PTSD, and like many soldiers, it took me a long time to admit it to myself, and longer to admit it to others. Before I really knew much about it, or even thought that I had it, I still knew something was wrong with me. And also, like many soldiers, I started to self-medicate, just alcohol, which turned into more alcohol, which turned into Adderall, which turned into coke, ecstasy, and basically anything else I could get my hands on. Now, I tried not to let it affect my work, but that's pretty hard to do in the military. And eventually this all led to a nervous breakdown that led to me getting caught, losing my E5 rank, and eventually admitting to my leadership what was going on, and I asked for help. Luckily, my leadership liked me and cared about me and allowed me to go to the military version of Alcoholics/Narcotics Anonymous, on the stipulation that I made regular visits with mental health as well. Now then, while my immediate leadership cared a lot more about me than I deserved, these events made my battalion sergeant major, my boss's 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 boss in civilian speak, absolutely hate me. He already had an issue with me before because of a joke I had made when first meeting him. He was from an engineer unit that had been doing some kind of mining work before being transferred, so I asked if that wouldn't make him a sergeant minor instead of a sergeant major, a joke I still stand by. Normally this wouldn't really be a big issue, as lower enlisted wouldn't have much interaction with someone of his rank, but I was a bit of a special case. I never came down on PCS, permanent change of station orders, so I spent all 8 years of service at the heck hole that is Fort Stewart, Georgia. Being such a permanent fixture in my unit, it wasn't unusual for me to be tasked to give the new NCOs of my company tours of the base and battalion/brigade areas. For the 3 ID soldiers in the audience, we were at the then new brigade area off main post, out the back gate on the way to Savannah, as well as introduce them to the S-Shop personnel, officers that run the day-to-day paperwork and stuff that keep the Army organized and running. As I knew most people there and on base. Heck, for a little while I had even dated a family friend of a brigade commander, and sat in on a few poker games with them, the base commander, and other higher-ups. This led to me interacting with the sergeant major more than I should have, since I was in the battalion area more than I normally would have been, and also led to more dislike from him, since he perceived me as having more influence than I should have. I didn't really have much or any influence, but from time to time, when meeting in passing, the brigade commander would say hi to me, so the sergeant major knew I had played a few games with the big boys on base. Okay, longest backstory ever now over, on to the event. So it was my last day in the unit, and I had just gotten my elusive and highly sought-after Bulldog stamp, which is what the base personnel office uses to signify that you've completed all paperwork and are released from the post, as well as my DD-214, which states I'm no longer in the military. I wasn't quite done at the post though, as a lot of the guys in my company were throwing a going-away party for me. Just about everyone in my company was there, except for my best friend, who we'll call N, who was stuck on staff duty, a 24-hour shift where you basically just answer phone calls from wives angry that their husbands are working so much, and breaking up drunken fights or unlocking barrack doors for soldiers that locked themselves out. Now, N and I had went to basic training together, and were lucky enough to be stationed at the same unit together, and he'd been there as long as myself. We spent near every second together for 8 years at this point. We'd been through 3 deployments, multiple firefights. He was there when my ex-fiancée left me, and was the guy who very literally drug me out of bed and dressed me, and forced me to go out when my depression got so bad I couldn't make myself get out of bed. He was the best friend that I've ever and will ever have, so I'm sure as heck not leaving without saying goodbye to him, of course. Since he couldn't be there, we had plans the next day together, and I was just crashing at his place that night. Anyway, the party came and went. We laughed and cried, and got admittedly way too drunk, and after it was over, drunk me walked to the battalion area to get N's key card. This was maybe 11 p.m. or midnight, so didn't worry about running into anybody. Plus, I was in civilians, so I wasn't worried about someone there thinking I'm on duty or anything. So I walk in, and of course, true to my luck, was the sergeant major, SGM from here on out, talking to the staff duty NCO. I was drunk, clumsy, and loud, so he noticed me straight away. SGM. Scratch that, Sergeant. It looks like Loken here has shown up to volunteer to buff the floors. They better shine by the time I see you at PT. Me, drunk, happy, and not wanting to end on drama. Roger that, SGM. He walks off to do whatever, and both N and his NCO laugh, knowing I'll be long gone by PT, and the only part I'd take in buffing the floors was to possibly stand on the buffer while In works it. This helps scratch the wax off before adding the new coat, and it's also fun as heck while drunk. After a bit of a chat, I grab the keycard from In and turn around to leave, and D near plow right into the SGM. SGM, I told you to start on the floors 30 minutes ago. What the F have you been doing? Me, sorry SGM, I'll get right on that. SGM, no, you had your chance, and you've had more than enough since you've been here. You're getting another Article 15, and I'll have you out of the Army by the end of the year. Obviously, he yelled this, as that's the only way he knew how to speak, so everyone heard him. An important part I forgot to mention was that I had gone straight from the base offices to the party, so I still had my paperwork on me. With a huge drunken smile, I hold up my DD-214 in his face and yelling, though admittedly not nearly as loud, say, "The F you will, SGM, I'm a civvy now so you can S my D," and calmly walk past him and out of the doors, as he's literally frozen in shock, as it had likely been 2 to 3 decades since someone had disrespected him like that. In public, anyway. Admittedly, the walk was all show, and as soon as I was out of his sight, I ran faster than I probably had on any PT test, and didn't stop until I was inside In's room. Yes, I was younger and in much better shape than the SGM, but I had no delusions that I could take him. He'd been in the Army since 18, back at a time when soldiers were trained to be a different kind of soldier than they are today, and I doubt I would have survived the confrontation without needing surgery, and even if I did somehow win, I doubt the MPs would be kind to someone who assaulted an SGM. So that's the story. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I spent a couple of weeks after that fielding calls from guys in the unit asking if it really happened, and became a bit of a legend when the story got around. Although to save time, I may have left out the part where I ran away before he could process what happened. For those wondering, I'm in a much better place now. I haven't been classified as an alcoholic in years, and have even been alcohol-free since November 2018, and haven't had a drug problem since my unit sent me to get help. I still see a therapist twice a month, and as many saw in my last post, recently got a service dog to help, but I'm on meds that work, and even recently had a job change, going from working 14 to 18 hours a day to working 11 max, while still making $100 to $200 more a day. So life is pretty good, despite the rough road here. The second story is, I want to share a more uplifting IDontWorkHereLady story to end the work week. So this all started a few days ago when I was doing some grocery shopping at Kroger. I had just gotten off work from the Hyundai dealership, where our sales uniforms are dark blue polos, just like Kroger, and I happen to be wearing khakis that day too. I've been stopped a few times before at this same Kroger, in the same scenario, since it's the only grocery store on my way home. As I was walking down the soup aisle, an elderly lady approaches me and starts asking me where she can find vegan gravy. Usually I would calmly explain that I did not in fact work there, but because of my background as a former food sales rep and executive chef, including my time as a sous chef at a vegan restaurant, I asked out of curiosity why she wanted vegan gravy. I come to find out she was doing some early Thanksgiving shopping, and her new daughter-in-law is vegan, and she wanted to make her feel welcome to their family and wanted to try out some recipes before the big day. She had no idea what it meant and had printed out some terrible generic recipes off Facebook. I've seen poorly thought out Facebook recipes destroy their fair share of good meals, and this led to me walking and talking with her for a while and helping grab a few items she would need to make some really good and easy to make vegan cuisine. I probably spent almost a half hour with her and wrote down a few recipes on the back of my business cards, and we parted ways. To be honest, I wasn't even trying to be helpful, but rather she had become a victim of me nerding out and rambling about a topic I was passionate about. Cooking, not veganism, that I no longer had an outlet for. Driving home, I realized that the whole time she probably thought I was the most helpful Kroger employee ever and had a good laugh about it. Now we fast forward to today. It's colder than a witch's tea outside, and I'm sitting in the showroom of my dealership trying to send out a few emails, and it's slow as SH. All of a sudden, I get a call. "Hi, this is XX from the grocery store. I hope this is the right number, but I'm looking for Eskimo Explosion." "Yes, this is him." I reply, and I start with, "Hey, I don't actually work at Kroger." And she cut me off and said, "I know, you wrote me a recipe on the back of your business card, and I had a few questions if you have a quick second." Being bored, I went in detail how to go about making this sauce, and she apologized for bothering me at work. I told her it wasn't a big deal, and told her jokingly I'd be happy to do whatever it took, so another cook won't mess up one of my good recipes. She laughed and asked what time I got off work. I told her I was working until close, but that I could take calls most of the day, since it was slow in case she had any questions. So a few hours roll by, and I'm out back smoking a cigarette with the dealers when I hear my name paged on the intercom. "Eskimo Explosion, you have a guest in the showroom." I wasn't expecting any appointments, but ran up front to see what was going on. There she was, the lady from the grocery store, with another elderly man, who I found out was her husband. What the heck is she doing here? I thought she had maybe decided to bring some food for me to try, to see if it tasted right, or maybe had brought me some brownies or other old lady treats for helping me out. So here's the best part of the story. She actually had a Tucson, and her lease was up in 2 weeks, and she wanted to turn it in and lease another one from me instead of our competitors down the street, where she got it originally. Her husband had pointed out to her that her new chef friend actually sold the same kind of car she was in the market for. I got her in the next model up from what she had been driving and kept her at the same payment. I thought I'd share since this really made my day. And the last story is, I'm not security. So I just found this sub and have a few stories. I thought I'd share one from my old job. I used to be a law enforcement officer on an Indian reservation. The tribe has a casino where an incident had taken place earlier or the day before. It's been a couple of years, so I can't really remember. I didn't work at the casino and was almost never there. Either way, I went to the casino to do a follow-up. I'm all done and walking to my patrol unit parked in the front when I hear, "Security!" Now, for context, it's totally reasonable to be mistaken for security, but this will factor in later. Casino security wears blue and drive little golf carts. I'm wearing a full kit, jet black tactical uniform. My unit was a Silverado with full police package, huge badge on the side, protect and serve, dial 911, all the bells and whistles. So I turn because maybe someone is in trouble. This lady about 40 with that smug appearance is there looking very frustrated. So the conversation begins. Me equals me, CL equals crazy lady, SS equals security supervisor. We'll enter stage left later. Crazy lady. Finally, I drop my keys in the fountain. Call your maintenance to get them. Me, oh, well, I'm not security, but I'll go grab an employee for you. Crazy lady. No, you're a security guard. Use your little walkie-talkie to call someone. Me, no, I'm Officer Blank of the Tribal Enforcement, but I'll grab someone. Crazy lady. Just use your radio. Me, it doesn't go to them. It goes to a 911 dispatch center. This continues for a few circles. A security guard comes by and notices her loud tone. She looks at him. Crazy lady. You, call your supervisor. This one, pointing at me, isn't doing his job. Security supervisor. Ma'am, I am the supervisor and he's not a security guard, he's a cop. Crazy lady. Oh, you too! Loud screaming rant with many expletives calling us lazy. This is drawing a crowd. I figure the best course is to let her scream until she's tired. Security supervisor. Ma'am, you can't act like this here. You need to leave. She rants about the keys in the fountain and how he won't help her. Security supervisor calls maintenance. They get the keys out in no time. She starts ranting again and calling us lazy Fs. She wants to talk to the casino manager. I cut in. Me, hey, my turn to talk. You listen. Look at me. Look at the security guards. See the difference? I'm not security. I'm law enforcement. Do you understand this? Do you properly grasp who I am? Crazy lady. Yeah, I get it. She has this face like her stroke ended and she was learning numbers for the first time. Me, good. You understand that they've asked you to leave? Crazy lady. Yeah, but Me, no, stop talking. You get it. Now you have two options. You take your keys, get in your car, and go home, or I arrest you for criminal trespassing. I've tried to be polite, but enough is enough. Make your decision now, not another word. She turns with a huff and goes to her car. I try to fathom the stupidity to this day. I laugh with the security guys for a sec, then go to my next call. Thank you for watching. See you next time.